What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the full 90. Last video predicting the Champions League final got over 100 likes as we asked for, so I am here reacting to my Premier League predictions for the season that we just had. There's going to be some belters in there, some clangers in there. It should be a good time. Also, due to the overwhelming support on the Champions League video, I am going to be back here predicting the Club World Cup on the full 90. So make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss any of those predictions as well. At the time of recording, by the way, regarding the Champions League final, it hasn't yet happened, so that should be interesting. But nevertheless, here we are reacting to the Premier League.
One thing that you can guarantee with anyone's Premier League table prediction video is that they're going to get teams wrong.
Yeah, see, that's a guarantee always. Everyone is going to get teams wrong, and it's always going to happen. Every single year, people make their prediction videos, and people in the comments love to tell you you're wrong before the season's even kicked off. But the thing is, people are even wrong at predicting what you get wrong. So there'll be things that I got right in this video that people told me I was wrong for. Things that obviously I got wrong in this video that people had no qualms with, like Tottenham Hotspur. Let's be honest, right? So let's have a look.
There are going to be a lot of wrong picks in these videos, which means there's a chance for something like a crazy table prediction to actually perform very well in ways that people just could not predict.
Okay. I probably should move my face cam here.
This ultimately is all about sort of finalizing the prediction for something for me to then look back on at the end of the season. So
that's what we're doing here today.
I won't be going too much into depth about each team. I just want this video to be a record of how I think the Premier League is going to finish, and then we can see at the end. Maybe I'll do a reaction video to my
That's me right here.
predictions. But 20th place, I've actually gone for playoff winners Southampton. Obviously, essentially, you could just argue that last year they finished the lowest out of the 20 teams in the Premier League in the football pyramid. So you could argue that maybe they'll finish 20th simply for that reason. But
I mean, how right was that? I mean, there are people I've actually seen that predicted some of the championship teams to actually stay up, but Southampton in 20th, that wasn't a sure thing as far as a lot of people are concerned. I think the way to gauge how well you've done with the Premier League table predictions is to compare it to other people, because if you compare your pre-season Premier League predictions to how it ends up, you will always look a fool. But there is a certain margin of error that everyone in the world has with these table predictions. So I think you're better off comparing how you've done to other people, and in this case, other content creators, rather than the actual table itself, to see how well you've actually done. So let's carry on.
I also think, obviously, the main contender for 20th, the two favourites are Southampton and Ipswich. And I do just think Ipswich, the story going from League One, double promotion up to the Premier League, it does just have that air of excitement about it. And I think they'll be able to...
I think what I'll also do, I'll edit now, bang, up there, the Premier League table as to how it actually finished. That's probably a good idea, so you guys can reference that without trying to remember.
Do a little bit more this season than Southampton, whereas Southampton have been an established Premier League club over the last 10, 20 years, and it might not be just as exciting for them. I'm not as excited by Southampton.
Also, I did say that the battle for 20th ultimately came between Southampton and Ipswich, and it did. Of course, as you can see by the table, Ipswich in 19th.
So I've got Southampton in 20th, and as much as I'd love to say that Ipswich make a run, stay safe, I just think they're going to finish 19th. I think Ipswich could have a very similar season to Luton. I think they could pull off some big performances.
That's a pretty good call, by the way. Ipswich, similar season to Luton. Now, Ipswich won 4 of their Premier League games. Let's compare it directly actually to Luton real quick. So Luton won 6 of their Premier League games and finished on 26 points, and Ipswich finished on 22 points and won 4 of their games. But let's take a look at the victories that they got. So Ipswich managed to beat Tottenham, Wolves, Bournemouth, and Chelsea. They almost did the double over Chelsea as well. They were unbeaten against Chelsea all season. So those were some key results. But I think that was a good shout. Ipswich, similar season to Luton of last year.
Maybe get some decent results. And obviously, Ipswich, Southampton, whoever, they're not going to finish on 0 points for the season, are they? They're going to take points from someone.
And they took 4 points off of Chelsea. That's pretty good going. Not to mention the points they took off Bournemouth in their bid to get European football.
And that is crucial. If Ipswich can just get one result against a Big Six club, that could have huge ramifications as to how the league finishes.
That was spot on, honestly.
Who wins the title and all that good stuff. So even if you're finishing 20th, each team has their part to play as to which team they can take points from. in the title race. So I am going for Ipswich in 19th. I'd love to see them go further, but I am going to go for Ipswich in 19th place. Now, one thing that I found really difficult was whether or not I'd predict a newly promoted team to stay up, and I really wanted to.
I do think there is a tendency for people to push towards a newly promoted team staying up with their predictions because it's sort of like an upset. It's against the odds. It's what people want to see. They want to be the person who correctly predicted an underdog to stay in the Premier League.
Predict Leicester to stay up, but I just haven't. Maybe it's just recency bias in the sense we just saw the 3 promoted championship teams get relegated last season.
Valid.
And it seems likely, well, they are the favourites to get it done this season. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope the team that I've predicted 17th place goes down, in all honesty. And in my crazy predictions table, I don't have all 3 promoted teams getting relegated. So if you want to check that out again, that's available over on Patreon by the time this video goes up. But it is going to be Leicester in 18th place.
Okay, so there we go. We got the bottom 3 correct. I'm going to change the way I'm doing this reaction video. This is quite slow paced. It's a lot of talking. We're going to skip forward now to the bottom 10 teams and see how that went and have a little talk about it. So we got all of the 3 relegated teams correct, all in the correct place. And there are people that didn't get 3 correctly placed teams in the league at all, and we went and smashed it with the relegation zone. So let's skip forward and see how the bottom half of the table looks. So I had Everton just missing out on relegation. This was an absolute stinker, I gotta be honest. Nottingham Forest to finish in 16th. I did have an alternative table prediction where I did things a little bit more rogue, and I did predict Nottingham Forest to finish higher. I put them at 14th, but still, even that's not great. They were 3rd for the majority of the season, ended up finishing 7th. It was a really good team. Let me go back and see what I said about Nottingham Forest, actually, to see if there's any saving grace in here.
Nottingham Forest, who I think should be safe, and they've got good enough players to be safe, but they just don't perform particularly well. In my crazy table prediction, I've got them finishing higher up the league table, where I think they should be doing better than they do, but ultimately they seem to fall short of anything above like survival. Even though I think they should do better, I've got them down in 16th. Same after that.
Yeah, I'm basically saying they should do better, but I didn't have the guts to predict them. So moving back over to the top 10, we had Fulham in 15th, which is okay. I mean, they finished 11th, but in terms of a point differential, there were 12 points between them and 15th. So that's not a great pick. You know, I've predicted them to stay up relatively safe, but ultimately Fulham had a bit of a better season. Bournemouth in 13th. I don't think that was a great pick in the end, but most people aren't putting Bournemouth top half, and they did end up finishing 9th. So I don't hate the Bournemouth prediction. I'm sure some people would have put them lower, but that's still secure survival. I like Brentford in 12th. Okay, Brentford finished 12th. In my prediction, and 10th in the Premier League. I saw people saying Brentford would get relegated. I saw a lot of people saying that out of the teams that weren't newly promoted teams, Brentford would be the one at risk of getting relegated. I didn't see that. I think last season, I'm pretty sure it was the whole issue with Ivan Toney leaving, and a lot of people just kind of went, if they lose their best player, how are they actually going to perform better than they normally do? But Mbeumo, Wissa, they've had a breakout season. And it's been going right for Brentford. So them in 12th, I'm quite happy with that prediction. Similarly, Palace in 11th. If you predict Palace to finish between 11th and 13th, usually 12th, you've got it bang on. They did finish 12th. I'm surprised I didn't put Palace 12th, to be honest. But again, another good prediction. Brighton, I've got in 10th. They finished in 8th. I'm not disappointed with that prediction. I think it's good. A lot of these teams are very close to where they finished. I'm happy with those predictions. So now let's take a look at the next 5 teams, where we put them and what I said. So this really is where the clangers came in. I put West Ham in at 9th, and honestly, I could have seen them doing even better. I said they'd miss out on European football, but they just had the signing of Nicholas Füllkrug, of course, and that just hasn't worked out the way that everyone thought it was going to. West Ham finished in 14th, and they were lucky to finish in 14th. It could have easily been 16th, and for them to have finished in 9th, they would have needed to have won an extra 5 games from somewhere. There were just flat performances. Wasn't a great season for West Ham. Certainly one to forget. We can move on. Newcastle in 8th. That was, in hindsight, I missed the mark a little bit on that one. Similarly, they were only 5 points ahead of 8th, so I can't hate the prediction, but ultimately, taking away the point differential as it turned out. I should have predicted them higher given that they didn't have any European football to really worry about. Oh, did they? This was the year of European football for them, wasn't it? Now that I'm thinking about it. No, I'm right. Yeah, this wasn't the year they had European football. So yeah, I think I should have predicted them higher on the basis that they didn't have any European football. Aston Villa, obviously, we predicted them in 7th, and that's not a terrible prediction. They're 1 point ahead of 7th. They got 6th. I'm happy with that. Tottenham, Man United. No one predicted them to do as badly as they did. I mean, I saw people putting both. I've seen people put Tottenham and Man United in the top 4. I, at the very least, didn't do that. We know it's been awful for them, but so I'm just going to move on. Tottenham 6th, that was poor. Man United 5th, that was even worse. But one prediction I did get right that I didn't see a lot of people get right was my 4th place team. So let's see what I said. Here we go.
After this, top 4 now. 4th place, I'm going for Chelsea.
Also, by the way, first of all, this is a brilliant prediction. Chelsea in 4th. Absolutely bang on. This does mean we got the 3 relegated teams correct and the top 4 teams correct. I think that's pretty damn solid, but let's hear what I've got to say.
I predicted Chelsea to finish 4th last season, and when they spent the majority of the season around 10th to 8th, everyone thought that it was a dumb prediction that I made. But then, around February sort of time, Chelsea started playing like the team I believed they are. They started winning games, playing good football. They had a really good win streak and ended up finishing, I believe it was 5th in the table. And I think they can do one better than that. I think they can finish 4th, maybe even higher. In my crazy prediction, I've got Chelsea finishing higher. But I'm going to go for 4th place in this video. And that brings me on to 3rd place. You probably guessed it. It's going to be Liverpool football.
So here we go. Whilst I got the relegation teams bang on, the top 4 teams, I didn't quite get them all correct. So let's skip forward to the end. I basically was... When I was doing these Premier League predictions, I was thinking, who wins the league, Man City or Arsenal? Do Arsenal have enough to topple Man City? And ultimately, my answer was no, and I was correct in putting Arsenal in 2nd place. I didn't, however, foresee that it would be Man City, who, whilst being top of the table, would suffer an injury to their best player in Rodri and fall behind, and that Liverpool would take advantage of that and leapfrog Arsenal and Man City to win the league. So I predicted Man City to beat Arsenal. I think ultimately when it came to doing these predictions at the time, the decision for a lot of people with regards to predicting the table was, will Arsenal beat Man City to the title? And my prediction was no. I thought Arsenal would finish runner-up. But those are my predictions, and ultimately I'm pretty happy with it. Other than the Tottenham and Man United picks and Nottingham Forest, which a lot of people got pretty badly wrong, I'm very happy. You know, you look at the likes of Brentford, I thought that prediction was very good when other people had them elsewhere. The relegated teams, we got to the exact place. Chelsea in 4th, exactly. That was pretty good. Arsenal in 2nd was a little bit of a layup, and it was on the basis that I thought they'd finish behind Man City. So I was a bit fortunate in that regard. But still, getting the relegated teams and the top 4 teams is a feat that I'm pretty impressed with. And all in all, the mid-table looks fairly solid. So as far as the Premier League table goes, in terms of predictions, with how it actually went and all the uncertainties, I think that is one of the best Premier League table predictions I've seen. I've seen a lot of videos, like I said, of people predicting and reacting to their Premier League predictions, and I don't think I've seen one yet where people got 5 teams in the exact spot. But on top of that, like I said, barring the anomalies this season and the standouts, you got likes of Palace that are one-off, other teams that we're very, very close with. So I think that was pretty good. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Let's have a look at some of these comments, actually. This one, David absolutely smashed it. Newcastle 8th, can't agree with your opinion. No European football. 8th is a little silly to call, maybe 5th, but not 8th. Absolutely spot on. Nailed it. Fair enough. But then you've got, I mean, here, you're in good company's my prediction, put Forest 16th or lower. There we go. Palace will finish higher than Brighton, we always do. That was wrong. I predicted it correct. I mean, look at these. It's just funny. It's hilarious. Someone else who hasn't done his homework. Ipswich will stay up easily. They were relegated in March. This table isn't realistic. I would say it absolutely is. Thanks for not putting Forest as a relegated team. Many people, oh, well, there we go. Bro, Chelsea are not making top 5. That's, well, I disagreed. We got it right. 5th, actually, they have a striker problem. There we go. How could Brentford be so high after last season? I predicted them to finish pretty well. They finished even better. Predictable putting Southampton last. They may finish there. Not disputing that, but it feels horrid as a fan that people aren't giving Southampton any chance whatsoever. Valid. See, a lot of these comments telling me how crazy I am. Only the Newcastle take that was the top comment was valid against what I said. All the other people disputing what I said were actually wrong. It's hilarious. But that is going to do it for this video. Thank you for 100 likes on the last one. Let's see if we can get 100 likes on this video. That is going to do it from me. Remember now, I'm doing Club World Cup predictions on the channel over the summer as well, so that should be exciting. And subscribe so you don't miss it. And I'll see you in the next video very soon.